Welcome everybody, Doug McKay, anti-wallstreetguy.com on the 27th of May, 2011. Before I forget, happy Memorial Day weekend. Everybody have a safe weekend. We're going to start out, as always, each week with a chart of the S&P cash. And we did close today, Friday, expected lighter volume at 1331. We did close above the 50-day moving average for the first time in a while. We do have resistance here, which used to be support at 1340. So until we get above 1340, we're going to continue to call the trend neutral to down. Again, neutral cash down would be short. It's quite possible. As you guys know, gaps most often get filled either to the upside or to the downside. That this market was just going back to fill this gap. This gap was filled basically on Thursday and Wednesday of this week. So we did fill that gap. In other words, the high here and the low in this candle was filled. Again, we do have overhead resistance at this time at 1340. We're basically right at this trend line, but the plus for the bulls is we did close above the 50-day moving average. We are still below the 20 and also the 30-day moving average. All right, so we'll see what happens next week. It's hard to tell this week due to the lack of volume. So the market's kind of right in the middle right now, but we're going to go with the neutral to down, which will be the fourth Friday in a row. We're sticking with that stance. Obviously, if we were to take out this area of recent support here, that would be very bearish. Typically, that would mean, based on probabilities, high probabilities, we'd go down and test the 1294 low that we've been talking about. I still think we're going to print 1300. We have some space and we have some support down here. But that does not have to happen. I think it will happen. It does not have to happen. Again, our stance is bearish, neutral to bearish at this time, neutral to negative until we get above 1340. Certainly if we got above 1350, which is what we've been saying for the last couple of 3 weeks, we would probably change our direction from short to long. All right. Let's also take a look at the Dow. Pretty much the same thing. Again, we are still, I put this still chart up yesterday on the 26th. We have, during the week, we're down below the 50-day moving average. We did break this trend line. We did break support. Now we're above the 50-day moving average and we're right up against the high for today. Touched that trend line that we drew in yesterday, and we are basically right at about support. If we were to take the high in this candle over here, that high is roughly 12,391. We closed today at 12,441. If we were to take the highs in these candles here, which would be resistance, we're at 12,440. Again, we were 1 point ahead of that today. So again, I'm going to say the same thing with the Dow, especially due to the lack of volume, neutral to down. NASDAQ Composite resistance is 2,800. We broke through that. We are right at it today. We closed at 2796, above the 50-day moving average again, like the S&P, like the Dow. We got as high as 2801 today. We closed at 2796. Let's take a look at gold. Let's first take a look at GLD, the ETF. Again, the trend here is long. Looks a little bit tired, but the overall trend line is holding. It is trading above the 50-day moving average. A little bit of a lack of volume on Wednesday and Thursday on the down day. That's a good thing. Fairly decent volume today. Again, expecting lower volume with the holiday ahead of us. Let's take a look at silver. Silver, same thing. We expected a bounce. I do expect that we're going to test this 3250 level. At that time, we break that. That would be an opportunity to get short. We do have a gap here. Let's see if this gap was filled. It was filled, this gap. Now it's just a matter if we can climb above the 50-day moving average. Maybe we'll test this area of support here at 40. What I would like to do is point out a couple trades here, some counter trend trades that you might want to look at. This first one here is Goldman Sachs. Closed today at 138.66. You can see we're kind of coming off that bottom here. I would have my stop just below this candle. The low in that candle was 133.64. If you look over to the left-hand side, 133.64. Probably park it around 133.59. 133.59. Another one, we can play a counter trend trade and also a hedge against the short position would be the XLF. It's about time the financials bounce. Whether or not they will, we'll have to see. It did fill the gap today. Quite possibly we can get up to 16.25, 16.50. Again, I would have my stop 4 ticks below the low on 5.25. That would put you right around 15.36. So that's pretty tight as well. Another chart that looks decent to me that may want to test the highs of recent is Visa. Closed today at 79.80. I would have my stop 4 ticks below the 5.25 low of 76.61. 76.61, so that puts you around 76.57, and that is Visa. Certainly we get above 81. That's another breakout for Visa. Another one we're looking at is GRA. This has had a nice run this year, but it looks like it's been basing, fairly tight base for a while. I like the way that it closed above this candle today. The high in that candle on the 25th was 45.37, and it also got as high as the high in this candle of 45.79 on the 19th, which was a week ago Thursday, and surpassed it. So this looks fairly decent. Again, this is one where if you wanted to park it a ways back, you'd have your stop 4 ticks under the 5.5 low, which was 41.46. You'd be right around 41.42 in that area. If you wanted to tighten it up even further on a percentage basis, you would basically go 4 ticks under the 5.17 low, which would put you at around 42.86. So again, the overall trend, the way we see it now, as of the close on Friday, lighter volume ahead of the holiday on the 27th of May, is neutral to down. If we get above that 1340 area, which was once support, which is now resistance, that would put us clearly above the 50-day moving average. Then we would look to get long with some positions. Possibly the XLF or anything breaking out or coming off the bottom. But until then, our stance is still neutral to negative, which means cash in short. We get above 1350, 1355. Looks like we're going to test above 1360. We would cover all shorts and get long. All right, you guys, that's it. Doug McKay. Again, have a nice, safe holiday on the 27th of May, 2011. We'll see you next week.